What is up, car addicts? In this video, we'll be talking about this week's Double Money Event Week as well as the vehicle and property discounts. This event week is for February 6th through February 12th, 2020. I also want to quickly mention that for this event week, Rockstar is giving players $1 million just for logging into GTA Online. They did the same thing last week as well, which is awesome. And this week will be the last one, so definitely make sure you get a chance to log in sometime this week. I got a ton of comments last week asking about how this works. So, you do not immediately get the free 1 million. A lot of people were saying, I logged in, where's my 1 million? Okay, the Rockstar explained that it takes up to 72 hours for you to receive the money from Rockstar. So, I recommend, once you log in, just to kind of force save it, change your outfit once you load in to kind of force the game to save. This is not required, but I recommend it. The next time you log in, after 72 hours, you should see this message on your screen saying that you received $1 million. And if you still didn't get the money after those 72 hours, you're going to have to contact Rockstar support and they will help you out. They're really good when it comes to that stuff. So, the vehicle that released today was the Class A Drift Yosemite. This truck has a very specific set of buyers at tracks, to say the least, but here's my take on it. This one can actually drift, kind of, at low speeds. Unlike the Drift Tampa, which really couldn't drift at all, it drove like a normal car. The Yosemite is in the muscle cars class, which means it can do wheelies. So it does very long wheelies with the right throttle control. It's actually pretty amazing. It's kind of good. I actually like it. It wheelies and it drifts. Kind of cool. You have two things in one. The customization is good. The delivery choices are awesome. And it's pretty much inspired by Ken Block's Hoon truck, which is a plus, right? And if you have that trade price for under $1 million, I personally feel it's worth it considering GTA's ridiculous inflation. These days in GTA Online, mostly any car you see under $1 million is kind of worth it. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Let me know what you think down below on whether the Drift Yosemite is worth it or not to you. Their current casino podium vehicle is the Grotti Furia. This supercar literally released less than 2 months ago and normally costs over $2 million. It is a very good looking car in my opinion, with an active aero rear spoiler, and the unique, amazing Koenigsegg doors, which is the main reason I still have mine. Now, fair warning, it is not good performance wise in comparison to the top supercars. Or on a track, it's very far behind because it lacks the power, and it has roughly the same top speed as a Zentorno depending on the road surface. So if you end up winning it, I recommend just having it as a garage queen and something to take to car meets. And for those of you who purchased the Furia originally and are very angry in the comments, I know almost every week I get the comment, I just bought that last week, or I bought it when it came out, this isn't fair. Well, you can still sell the one you bought originally for over 1.7 million and then get the podium one for free. So, I mean, you can get the majority of your money back. I'm sure everyone knows the close app method by now to win the casino vehicle, and that is not patched for people who keep saying it is. It's not patched. You just gotta close your app before the wheel stops. So there you go. Alright, so to start off with the property discounts, we have 35% off all the garages on the Dynasty 8 website. So to clarify, the discount is only for the garage properties. The apartments and stilt houses are still at normal price. They are not on discount. And for the following discounts, they are for the extra garage upgrade only. So we have 35% off the nightclub garage upgrade, the arcade garage upgrade, the arena garage additions, the CEO office garages, and the casino penthouse garage option. Again, it's only for the garage options, not the properties themselves. So let's say you bought these properties and you held off on getting extra storage with those properties. Now is the best time to add them if you are running out of vehicle space. Moving on to vehicle discounts, we have 35% off the True Fade Thrax. This was the first ever casino podium vehicle. This car is pretty much the opposite of the other True Fade vehicles in the game. This one has a kind of a low top speed in comparison to the other True Fade vehicles, and it has very good handling and acceleration, but it just can't compete with the Emirates or Krieger performance-wise because it lacks the top speed and power. So I don't recommend it performance-wise. We have 35% off the S80RR. This car is one of the best handling cars in the game, taking almost any corner at full speed. It's quite ridiculous. Plus, it's currently the only center single-seat supercar in the game. It just lacks the top speed to keep up with the Emirates and the Krieger. We have 35% off the Deveste 8. This car has one of the highest top speeds in the game, but that top speed is very close to the Emirates and Krieger, which handle like full-on race cars, making the Deveste 8 pretty useless in most racing situations. There are only a few races where the Deveste can outperform the Krieger and Emirates. For example, like certain stunt races and stuff like that. I know some of you are going to say, what about the 811? The 811 and the Deveste, they have very similar top speeds. And then you have the Krieger and Emirates, which are kind of like right there. So it really just depends on the race you're doing. But for the majority of races, all you need nowadays is the Krieger or the Emirates. Next up, we have 35% off the Italy GTO. This is the best sports car for stunt races, as the speed it gets in the tube is just ridiculous. It literally goes supersonic speed in the stunt tubes. It's quite crazy, and over crazy bumps and stuff like that. I highly recommend it to anyone who doesn't have one yet. In addition to your Pariah, don't sell your Pariah to buy it. You pretty much need both depending on what type of race you're doing. Moving along, we have 40% off the GB200. I personally love almost everything about the GB200 except for the slow handling flags that it has, which really ruins the driving experience for me. We have 40% off the GP1. At this price, I believe this car is a bargain. It has so much detail with the exclusive interior, amazing customization, and a similar engine model to the F1 cars that are coming out soon. Whoever is the dev that made this car, you can tell he put his heart and soul into when they made this car. They just put so much detail in the customization. It's just amazing. If you've never seen one, customize one, watch a video on one, I highly recommend checking it out. It is a very good car in my opinion. We have 40% off the ETR1. This car has insane handling and an awesome exhaust note, but the small amount of customization and weird wheel fitment and the crazy price tag on top of that just makes this vehicle something I don't recommend buying. Again, it's just my opinion. Next up, we have 35% off the RE7B. The RE7B was really one of the first crazy handling cars that came out with the Cunning Stunts update about 4 years ago. Yeah, it's been 4 years since the Cunning Stunts update. Time flies, doesn't it? Honestly, my take on the RE7B is that if you want one, I suggest just getting an S80RR instead, because it is better in almost every way. Then again, when we talked about the S80RR earlier, the Emirates and Krieger are pretty much beat it in almost every racing situation, so the RE7B and S80RR are kind of useless performance-wise nowadays in GTA. Unless you have an extremely tight track with turn after turn after turn without any little type of straightaway at all, then yeah, I guess the S80RR would beat the Emirates and the Krieger, but there aren't too many of those races. Remember, with the bump boost and curb boost and all that, the cars in GTA reach their top speed very quickly, and the top speeds are low in this game, 120, 130. So, again, it would have to be a really tight race. Anyways, moving on to the Southern San Andreas website, we have 40% off the Hot Ring Sabre. This car is in the sports class and is pretty useless because it's below average performance. However, I'll explain why it's worth buying here in a few minutes. We have 40% off the Omnis. This car is a lot of fun to rally with, but there really isn't much customization, and there are cars like the Issy Sport and Flash GT that completely outperform it in a rally race. I will say it's a good driving experience, but if you want to buy it to be competitive and win rally races, you're going to get beat by an Issy Sport or a Flash GT. It's just going to happen. They're a lot better. Moving on to the Warstock website, we have 35% off the personal vehicle storage bay for the MOC. Again, this is not the entire MOC or the custom shop for the MOC, it's just the personal vehicle storage bay. And that's it for vehicle discounts. So last week there were a ton of Warstock vehicles on discount, so I guess now this week they're focusing more on normal cars, specifically mostly race cars. I believe this hints at the F1 cars we will most likely be seeing next week on the 13th. Again, it hasn't been officially confirmed by Rockstar. Rockstar just said coming up next in their newswire last week, but today the Drift Yosemite came out and they said next up last week, so I'm not sure what that means, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the 13th. Moving on to the vehicle upgrade discounts, we have 40% off vehicle performance upgrades and liveries. These include the brakes, engine, livery, suspension, transmission, and the turbo upgrade for all cars in the game. So I mean, this can save you guys a ton of money when customizing cars, including that Casino Podium Furia. So for people who are winning the Furia from the Casino Podium, they can upgrade them at a really good discount. Or if you have a bunch of cars that, because I used to do this when I didn't have that much money in GTA, some of the cars that aren't really that good performance wise, I used to just customize them visually and then not touch any of the internal modifications, so that it looked like if it was customized from the outside, but I saved money because I didn't spend money on turbo engine and transmission and all that. But now, I mean, some of those cars, you can put some of those upgrades in it. I think it's worth the investment now because it's 40% off of those. And those are really the majority of the really expensive parts when customizing cars. So, moving on to the double money stuff, we have double money NRP on the Hot Ring Circuit races. And this is why I recommend buying the Hot Ring Saber that you saw earlier with the 40% discount, making it only about 500,000. Combine this with the 40% off the vehicle upgrades I just mentioned as well. This is a good investment in my opinion. The Hot Ring races pay out a lot during double money. I've seen it go over 100,000 easily for first place, and having a customized Hot Ring gives you a higher chance of winning compared to most people who pick a stock one because they don't have a customized one. We also have double money NRP on the ISI Classic races, RC Bandito races, and the standard stun races as well. So a ton of races on double money. And we also have double money NRP on the business battles as well. Not sure if that's a good one, but anything extra is always helpful, right? And we also have double money NRP on this week's RC Bandito time trial on top of that, which is Davis Courts. These time trials normally pay out about 100,000, but since it's double money, you will get 200,000 for this RC Bandito time trial. And to answer the popular question I get quite often, you need to own an RC Bandito in order to do this time trial. If you do not have an RC Bandito, it will not let you do the time trial, so keep that in mind. Moving on to a Twitch Prime discounts for Twitch Prime members only. I'll leave instructions in the pinned comment on how to become a Twitch Prime member if you aren't one already. So the discounts for this week are the same as last week, and for those of you who forgot, that is 80% off the Pyro and 80% off the original Rhino tank. And of course, you get the extra 10% off the vehicles I mentioned earlier. And lastly, of course, we have the RC Bandito time trial I just mentioned that is offering double money, that is Davis Courts. This week's normal time trial is Del Perro Pier, and this week's premium race is a supercar race taking off. This premium race is an airport race with mainly top speed and 2 long hairpins turn that can be taken almost at full speed. I highly recommend either the Emirates, Krieger, or the Vesta 8 for that race. It is a little tricky when you factor in the slipstream, so be careful if you choose the Vesta 8 as it can't corner as well as the Emirates or the Krieger, which are the main ones I recommend for this. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Maybe there was a vehicle you're interested in getting this week, and let me know if you guys will be participating in the double money races. I think they're a lot of fun. A lot of people come back and like to do races on the double money, and you'll find a lot of full stunt race lobbies. It's a lot of fun. This is a very racing inspired week to say the least, with discounts on the majority of race cars and the double money races as well. I'm about 90% sure we'll receive the F1 cars next week on the 13th of February. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.